Hi, everybody. My name's Denise. I don't know how they're spread out on your screens, but I'm the owner at Higgins. Thank you so much for joining us. Usually we have this event, and it's always a great event every year. But we usually hold it in our office, and of course, that's not really possible this year. So I really appreciate your joining us on this virtual presentation. We have our Princess representative on the line. I'll introduce him in a minute, but I do just want to take care of a couple things. I just want to introduce my staff that's with on the presentation today. You'll see Abby. Abby is actually going to be our moderator today. She is our marketing guru. So she'll be kind of moderating the presentation today. And then we have Karen. Karen
Hello.
is really our Alaska expert. There's anything you need to know. Little Facebook Live this morning, if anybody of you are on Facebook and were able to see it. Those two did a great job and really good information that was provided kind of as a teaser to tonight's events. If during the presentation, somewhere on your screen, you should be able to find a chat box. If you have questions, go ahead and type them in there and we'll get to your questions at the end of the presentation. And with that, I am going to introduce you then to Joe Sieb. He is our Princess Cruises representative, and he's going to do a great job talking about Alaska.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. Denise and I have been holding these events in person, as she said, for years. And we do that because we know there's an awful lot that goes into your decision when it comes to choosing an Alaska cruise vacation or cruise tour vacation. So we're continuing this year doing it virtually. So we hope you enjoy it, okay? We'll take a break about 6 or 7 o'clock for dinner, and then we'll come back and finish. No, I'm just kidding. The entire presentation will last roughly 25 or 30 minutes. And hopefully we can entertain you someday. So I'll just kind of get the PowerPoint started. Every princess story really begins with our shared purpose as a company. And I'd like to share this with you so you kind of know how we direct ourselves in everything we do. Our shared purpose reads to share our world. In this case, it's Alaska. Share our hearts, protect the earth, which means essentially to reduce our environmental footprint in the world and to create lasting memories. And those last 3 words are the real key to what we deliver really anywhere, in particular Alaska. Creating lasting memories. We're pretty convinced you're going to enjoy sitting down with Denise and her staff and planning your trip, getting to the cruise, enjoying the cruise, the destination, in this case, Alaska, all of the scenery, the wildlife, the shore excursions, all of the activity, the glaciers. And when you come home and you share your memories with friends and family, then we know we've really accomplished what we've set out to. So that's our key. That's the kind of the underlying theme of everything we do. And then we have 3 distinct core values as well as a company, and they're protect, respect, and connect. And I'll just kind of share with you right now one part of what connect means. And it really means that we're connecting with our guests and each other and delivering genuine, happy vacations. That's our goal. All right, so kind of moving forward, a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to share some thoughts about what Alaska vacationing is all about. We'll walk through a sample cruise tour to kind of put things into perspective for you, go through some frequently asked questions, then we'll wrap up. But first, I think what's kind of top of mind for all of us is we know we're in a different place than we've ever been before in the business, really most of the world is. But what's our return to service going to look like, okay? So I'm just gonna share a few comments about what we're calling health and safety. And to be clear, these measures are in development. They've been proposed to the governing authorities. And when they're final, they will be final. But things are rather fluid. We're continually enhancing things and making changes until we get it exactly how it needs to be. So just make sure we understand that things are in development. Everything I share regarding health and safety is actually available for you to peruse right on the Princess website. Okay, really right on the homepage. And it speaks to our core value of protect. So health and safety has always been paramount. That really hasn't changed. Sorry, I bumped something. But I'm going to share with you how we've kind of divided things up into 6 categories. And so quickly, we're going to have enhanced health screening before what is really a staggered boarding. We're committed to pre-testing requirements for every guest, every crew member, touchless temperature checks, and health questionnaires. Enhanced environmental sanitation in the public and areas and staterooms. And we're using a very safe disinfectant proven to quickly kill coronaviruses. Responsible physical distancing. And we're able to do some new things with some new technology in terms of adjusting the flow of the ship, okay? When physical distancing can't be maintained, and while it's necessary, masks will be required. Medical care will have a trained medical staff of both doctors and nurses like we always have, but they'll have a new expertise in caring for kind of the broad range of conditions related to COVID-19. Enhanced ventilation and safe shoreside experiences. And so many of these things are still in the works. They'll be final sooner than later. All right, so having said that, let's get right into Alaska. Alaska is just this phenomenal destination. In our attempt to create lasting memories, we've designed an onboard enrichment program referred to as North to Alaska. And it's like a big umbrella, and underneath that umbrella are all these activities, such as in the lower left-hand corner, you see this lovely young couple holding sled dog puppies. We have a real life dog musher board the ship oftentimes when we're in Port and Skagway, not all the time, but most of the time. You can touch and feel and pet and hold the sled dog puppies, take a picture with them. You really feel like you're engaged with Alaska and what it's all about. In the lower right-hand corner, you see a park ranger. We are in Glacier Bay National Park in this picture. A park ranger boards the ship every single sailing when we enter Glacier Bay National Park. And you can hold a private audience with one. This is a couple of different families that are engaged with him. He's obviously telling them about Marjorie Glacier that they're viewing. In the upper picture, in the upper right-hand corner, is actually a picture of Glacier, Marjorie Glacier, deep within Glacier Bay National Park. Photographs don't always do it justice, but we always offer 2 glacier viewing opportunities on every sailing between Vancouver and Anchorage. And that's really key that we are able to provide those 2 opportunities. We know it's the #1 reason most of us want to go to Alaska. In this case, where the ship is looking at Marjorie Glacier. Marjorie Glacier is about 300 feet high. Again, it's hard to put that into perspective in this picture. And she's a mile wide at the water. It's a tidewater glacier. Tidewater glaciers, kind of by definition, kind of a layman's definition, is just that when the ice calves, when it falls off, breaks off, falls into the water, or then it falls into the water. That's what makes it a tidewater glacier. You'll also see glaciers up in the mountain sides that are probably named. They're not identified when we're cruising, but they're not true tidewater glaciers because they're up high in the mountain sides. So North to Alaska, you'll frequently see mention of it when you're preparing for your trip to Alaska, when you're choosing shore excursions. Just keep in your mind, it's an onboard enrichment program designed to bring the culture of Alaska, the scenery of Alaska, and an understanding of Alaska on board the ship with you. All right, glaciers, again, it's the number one reason we want to go. And again, we offer two opportunities. If we're cruising round trip from Seattle, a little different itinerary, we have one glacier viewing opportunity. So you can see these folks, I've stood on this same deck many times viewing the glaciers. Princess ships are all built with ample public deck area for glacier viewing. When you are experiencing the glaciers, you'll spend a great deal of your time out on deck. If you have a private balcony, there's no worry regarding which side of the ship you're on. The ship will turn throughout the day and you can experience it that way too. Denali Park is the number two reason we go to Alaska. If you're cruising on a cruise tour, as an example, Vancouver to Anchorage, and we'll get into that more later. And then from there going north into the interior of Alaska, you'll have an opportunity to see Denali Park as well. And Denali Park stays, with limited exceptions, include a tour into the park itself, okay? It's a tour that's put on by the National Park Service. And then the number three reason most of us say we want to go is to see wildlife. So here's just a kind of an example. These are referred to as the Big Five of Alaska or Big Five of Denali. Starting in the upper left-hand corner, going clockwise. If you do a cruise tour, which again is cruising and then touring north of Anchorage, I can just about guarantee you'll see caribou, Dall sheep when you're in Denali Park especially. Bear and moose seem to be kind of the wild cards. I've seen bear a number of times right from the ship, actually, when we're cruising in Glacier Bay National Park. And then in the center there are Alaskan wolves. And I don't know if you need to see a wolf or get too close to one, but nonetheless, wolves are part of the Big Five. And then as kind of a bonus, the whales. Okay, we want to see whales too. And there are a number of distinct times when you most likely will see whales. For example, cruising through the Inside Passage from Vancouver to Anchorage is a very likely place where you'll see breaching whales. We have an onboard naturalist that spends most of the day when we're in the Inside Passage on the bridge, and we'll have advanced sightings and of course point that out to everybody. And then before and after Ketchikan is another likely place to see whales. And then there'll be a shore excursion as well in Juneau if you want to do a shore excursion on a smaller boat, smaller ship experience to see glaciers as well. A couple of things about Princess, and then we'll kind of walk through a sample itinerary. We've been in business since 1965. If anybody's old enough to remember, we were the backdrop for the TV show, The Love Boat. Those ships have since been retired. Those ships that were part of the TV show can fit in the buffet of our new largest ships, just to kind of put things into perspective and how things have changed. We're headquartered in Los Angeles. Next year will be our 52nd year cruising Alaska. We have three really distinct highlights. One is this very, very enriching experience that we offer in Alaska, led by the North to Alaska program. The lodges and rail cars are Princess owned, built, and managed and staffed. And then the employees themselves are mostly local Alaskans. So when you walk up to the tour desk at the Denali Lodge and you're asking one of the people behind the tour desk about a particular activity or some scenery, you can be just about assured that they've experienced it, they've done it themselves, they're from it, they grew up in the area oftentimes. All right. So I mentioned we have two cruise itineraries. One is if we flew to Seattle or began our trip in Seattle, it's a 7-day cruise from Seattle north, going as far north as Skagway or Glacier Bay on some sailings, Skagway and an area near Tracy Arm on the other days. So we have 3 great ports of call, Ketchikan, Juneau, and Skagway, and 1 glacier viewing opportunity. And it's a great itinerary. I've done this a number of times myself. We don't go far enough north to Anchorage to do the cruise tour. But this is an awesome itinerary. I've done it a number of times, once with my wife's family where there were about 50 of us. It's a great, easy flight in and out of Seattle and makes for a really affordable Alaskan cruise vacation. If we're going all the way north to Whittier, which is the port city for Anchorage, it's a 7-day itinerary from Vancouver ending in Whittier. And on this itinerary, we do go far enough to do the cruise tour. So we leave Vancouver, we cruise north to Ketchikan, Juneau, and Skagway with Glacier Bay National Park cruising for glacier viewing, along with, if we're going north, College Fjord. If we're coming south, a little bit of a difference, and we visit an area called Hubbard Glacier. But the real key is that regardless if you go north or south, and you can go either way, there are 2 glacier viewing opportunities. The itinerary is pretty much the same the entire year. All right, then this map just kind of now depicts going north of Anchorage as well. So even though, as I just mentioned, the cruise from Vancouver to Anchorage is pretty much the same all summer long, there are about 20 different choices of land trips. That's why we're going to be here till 9 o'clock tonight to go through all of them. No, I'm just kidding, but I'll kind of give you a highlighted sample itinerary. So a good sample would be where you fly to Vancouver to begin your trip. Of course, if you can add a day to your trip and go to Vancouver a day early and experience it as an awesome, beautiful city, the ship will set sail late in the afternoon. And we cruise through the Inside Passage the entire first day. We don't get off the ship. It's about 30 hours from Vancouver to get to Ketchikan. And it's just an incredibly beautiful, relaxing day. This is where you're likely to see whales. The onboard naturalists will point out interesting sites, lighthouses, and fishing villages. You're just in for a beautiful day. And I don't know if it's just Princess, but it always seems to be 65 degrees and sunny when we're cruising through the Inside Passage. Then we arrive Ketchikan. With limited exceptions, on some sailing, we visit a different port called Icy Strait Point, but we visit Ketchikan. Ketchikan's a real friendly, easy port to get around in. It's a fishing village of about 14,000 people, well known for its totem poles. So by all means, you'll get to see some of the most beautiful totem poles, I'm sure, in the world, okay? Then we're in Juneau. Juneau, if you're going north, like we are in our sample, it's your first chance to see a glacier. If you're coming south, it's your last opportunity. This is Mendenhall Glacier, about maybe 10 miles out of downtown Juneau. You can see it by virtue of a tour that takes you out to the visitor center, or you can take a helicopter ride and land right on top of the glacier. And then also, this is where you might do whale watching on a small boat. And then part of our North Alaska program is that Libby Riddles, the first female Iditarod champion, boards the ship and conducts a sled dog presentation. And it's just really one of the highlights of your trip. And I really urge you to watch for the daily newspaper and the advertised time that she'll be presenting. It's really a beautiful presentation she does. I've heard her speak 4 or 5 or 6 times over the years. The last time she was introduced, and it was the first time she walked out on stage and said what I'm going to say, but I thought it was kind of neat. I knew the story already, but she tells a very compelling personal story about how she went to Alaska at age 16, I think it is, and lived by herself, and later on became the first female Iditarod champion. But she walked out on stage after she was introduced, held up the mic and said, "I'm from Minnesota and Wisconsin." And it was just so refreshing to hear that. Again, I already knew that. I've met somebody once at a presentation that told me she had gone to school with Libby Riddles. So It's a true story. We also have deep sea fishing throughout the cruise. And if you have a deep sea fish excursion that you choose, and if it says Cook My Catch next to it, it means it's part of our Cook My Catch program. So you might get some fish and have it prepared. And so you just tell the tour vendor, the boat captain, that you'd like to have your fish prepared. I did this with two of my sons. And later on that same evening, this platter, again, photos don't do it justice. This platter was about 4 feet oval, and it was brought out and set down on a second table next to our dining room table. Head waiter came over and served us. And it's the number one thing that no matter who you ask in my family, what was their number one memory of Alaska? Remember, I said our goal is to create lasting memories. Everybody mentions this, even those of us that didn't catch the fish. All right, so it's a wonderful experience. Skagway is our last port of call. Skagway is the port for the gold rush of 1898. It's a superb destination. The White Path Scenic Railway is a wonderful shore excursion to consider. Takes you up the mountain pass 3,000 feet in climb. And it follows one of the paths the men took in 1898 to seek their fortune in gold. All right, this is just a personal photo of leaving Skagway. I urge you upon leaving Skagway about 15 minutes or so out of port to go up to one of the top decks, go to the rear of the ship. This will be your view. It's quite surreal. And then we visit Glacier Bay National Park for the entire day. And then the last day we visit College Fjord, which is in the lower center of the screen. The ship is cruising in College Fjord, where you may see one of several glaciers or more than one glacier at one time. If you're coming south, instead of viewing College Fjord, we see Hubbard Glacier. So they're equally as beautiful. It's just a matter of where they are geographically that we choose one going north, the other coming south. From there, here's a personal photo of Marjorie Glacier in Glacier Bay National Park. The next picture I'm going to show you is the same exact glacier, but just to kind of show you how perspective and how things look different or differently, you'll see that here it has a whole different look to it. You can tell it's several hundred feet high, and the ship looks rather small compared to it. Then we've arrived Whittier, the port city. If you were not doing the tour, you'd fly home from Anchorage. If you are doing the tour, in most cases, you board the train, which takes you right through downtown Anchorage and then to one of our two lodges. In this case, you might visit our Denali Princess Wilderness Lodge for 1 or 2 nights. You might go to our Mount McKinley Princess Wilderness Lodge, or you might see both, depending on which land itinerary you choose. So when you sit down with one of Denise's staff, this will be the main objective, is to decide which cruise tour land itinerary that you're interested in. And once you kind of make that decision, everything else falls into place. The Mount McKinley Lodge, it's a little hard to see in this photo, but in the right-hand side, you can see a deck. It's the only lodge, public lodge in Alaska that potentially has a view of Mount McKinley. That lodge, along with this one, which is a tree house that the TV show Treehouse Masters built on the Princess Mount McKinley Wilderness Lodge grounds. So from this treehouse or from the lodge balcony, you potentially have a view of Mount McKinley, Denali. While we haven't changed the name of the lodge, the mountain has changed back to Denali. So don't make the mistake like I did last time I was there and calling it Mount McKinley. The locals want you to hear it called Denali. So she's 41 miles away, very rugged looking, really exciting when the weather clears and you're able to see it. You might go southwest of Anchorage. In this case, it'd be on a motor coach after you got off the ship. You might visit our Kenai Lodge. The Kenai Lodge is kind of about 2 hours southeast of Anchorage, and it's in an area, the Kenai Peninsula is oftentimes compared to the boundary waters of Minnesota, kind of where locals go to vacation. And my newfound destination is, I was in the UP last week, and it would kind of remind you of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan as well. So very nice, and probably just all of northern Wisconsin as well. Or you might go 8 hours east to our Copper River Lodge. Regardless of which itinerary you choose, you'll see in most cases, well, in all cases, you'll see at least one lodge, and in most cases, 2 or 3 or 2. And then you might go all the way north to Fairbanks as well. So a cruise tour will last 7 days for the cruise. The land portion will be anywhere from 3 to 7 or 8 or 9 more days. And it's really a matter of deciding which one you want to go on. So as I kind of get closer to wrapping up, some frequently asked questions. It always comes up, which is the best time to go to Alaska and which direction should I go? Always those questions come up, right, Karen? You can just,
Great. Yep, definitely.
they definitely come up. The best time, I think, is to go when you want to go. The season starts in mid-May. It lasts till mid-September. There's kind of something special about each time of the year. If you go early in the season, Alaska is cool and crisp, and there's still snow, i.e. look out the window right now today. Still snow, and sometimes in the lower elevations. And it's kind of like I have Alaska conjured up in my mind. Not quite this much snow. There won't be that much, I don't think. But we have about 3 inches already here in Stillwater, where I live. And then as you get into the summer, the temperature is about 10 degrees warmer on average than May or September. And the days are longer. The growing season is in full swing. The flowers are huge, etc. And then further to that, if you go in late August into early September, you'll see some fall colors. Regarding which direction to go, north or south, that's really a personal decision as well. Denise's staff will talk to you about that and figure out which is the right way for you. It could be just something as simple as air schedule might be better one direction or the other. Or it might be that you want to do the land trip first and tour around Alaska and then tour, excuse me, cruise south to Vancouver to fly home. Packing and dress always causes a lot of heartburn when it comes to Alaska cruise vacation. During the day, pack to dress like you would on any outdoor kind of vacation, but pack to dress in layers. Don't assume it's going to be cold, but just assume that you don't know what the weather is going to be like. Okay. I went one year. This was my family vacation. We went May 10th was the first sailing of the year. We wore shorts all but one day. Okay. And so while you need to be prepared for shoulders, what we're used to in April or October, which is sometimes cooler than other years, you just need to pack the dress in layers. On board the ship, 5 nights during the evening, the dress code is smart casual. We all look nice. And 2 nights are typically formal. Okay. After you've made your purchase, after you've sat down with Karen and kind of decided your trip, most likely you're going to be purchasing your trip with what we call our Princess Plus fare. That includes gratuities, Wi-Fi, and the beverage package. After you've made that purchase, the additional spending that you can expect would be shore and land excursions, dining at the lodges, on the trains, and at the specialty restaurants. If you choose for a slightly lower fare, you cannot have those beverage, Wi-Fi, and gratuity package. And you can even find even a lower fare with a non-refundable deposit. But that'll all be discussed when you kind of start narrowing in on your decision. But just know that for sure, what I have in italics there will be additional spending. We have a great military program. If anybody has a military heritage, make sure you let your travel advisor know. In the case of a 7-day Alaska cruise, there's an additional $100 shipboard credit for qualified retirees, veterans, and active duty. There's some qualifications that are required, but your DD 214 will tell us if you qualify or not. So make sure not to forget that. Everybody has to have a passport, with some limited exceptions, possibly if you're going round trip Seattle. But I don't think, maybe Denise, you can share a comment, or Karen. I think nowadays, are you suggesting people have passports no matter where they go?
Yes.
Okay.
We'd want them to have a passport for no matter if, even if they were doing the Seattle round trip.
Okay, and I agree. There might be some exceptions, but it's really just a good idea. So, and I guess when we talk about passports, I like to suggest people go home today, or I guess we're all at home, but to pull out your passport and make sure it's good for 6 months past the last date of your expected travel.
Now's
To
the
avoid
perfect time to look at that.
What's that?
I said now's the perfect time to look at that, since right now we are all stuck at home.
Right, yes, yeah, exactly. So you don't get caught needing to rush your renewal, like I did last fall when my wife and I were getting ready to go on a cruise, and mine was only good for about 3 months. So anyway, and then, in terms of recommendations, generally speaking, we recommend booking as early as you can for the most choice, etc. Our 2021 Alaska program is, of course, for sale now. It has been for quite some time. It was selling quite well before things changed. And then we canceled our entire 2020 season. A lot of those people rebooked. So 2021 is going to be a busy year. No, there's no question about that. And then our 2022 Alaska program will be open for sale sometime coming in the not too distant future as well. If 2022 is more what you're thinking of, make sure you let Denise know, and they'll stay in touch with you when it becomes available to sell.
Yeah.
I kind of mentioned our Princess Plus fair right now. It's not a promotion anymore. It's really just an ongoing fair type that includes the beverage package, Wi-Fi, and gratuity. So it has a value of what used to cost $95 a day per person. So here, isn't this picture beautiful? I just love this. I just found this new photo. It's obviously Glacier Bay National Park and Marjorie Glacier in particular. When I was 2 years ago, you can see where in the just left of center, the glacier has just calved. And I think this lady in the middle is actually getting a live photo of it, which is not hard, not easy to do. You really have to be ready. And I think the young girl, I think, is looking through binoculars. But nonetheless, you really want to watch that glacier closely when you're in the glacier viewing opportunities. When I was there, it was calving actively a little bit further to the left than it is in this photo. And it's also a good idea to each person to have their own binoculars. It's pretty difficult, for example, if you're whale watching, to see a whale and then hand the binoculars off to somebody and say, here, honey, take a look at the whale. It's pretty much too late. But anyway, so have your own set of binoculars if you can. One of my sons actually not only got a photograph of a glacier calving, he was able to get a video of one in real time. So it was pretty exciting. Alaska is a phenomenal destination. Higgins Travel does a really nice job of going through the different choices with you and helping you figure out which one's the right one for you, which itinerary. And Denise, how many years have you been selling Alaska? Many.
Oh, many. Yeah. I've been selling Alaska for probably, well, actually, this is my 30th year now that I've been in the travel business. So, yeah, long time.
30
I think
years. Wow, you started when you were 11. That's great. That's great. So do we have any particular questions that have been presented?
Yeah, if we are at that point here, this is actually a question that we get quite often in the office, not just for Alaska, but for a lot of destinations. We had somebody ask, she is interested in the handicap accessibility features of Princess, including some of the excursions. So even if people are in a wheelchair, if people maybe just don't have the same walking abilities as others, like what does Princess provide for those individuals?
Well, we certainly have handicap accessible cabins.
Perfect.
Probably an added reason to book earlier than later. I mean, there's a limited number of them. And we have accessible shore excursions as well in many ports. And if somebody in particular or whoever is requesting the question, submitting the question, may want to go to the Princess website and Google or not Google, filter to the shore excursions for Alaska. And in the description, it will tell us the activity level.
Oh, okay.
And then further to that, it will tell us if it's an accessible shore excursion.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We're very accommodating.
Awesome. Well, Jill, if you have any additional questions, feel free if you want to chat them, anything specific that you were wondering about. Otherwise, it looks like we have a couple more coming in here. Are there binoculars available in the cabins to use?
There are not.
Okay.
We do sell some kind of inexpensive ones on board the ship in one of the shops. But you could probably find something like that locally before you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, so this one might be for you, Joe, and then Karen, if you could maybe speak to this too. Questions regarding insurance around COVID. So does the normal insurance you offer provide refunds related to COVID or any new pandemic we may be facing?
I think when it comes to insurance, we'd have to have quite a bit more detailed discussion, I think. And so I think that's probably something best discussed kind of offline. We do have a booking program right now called Cruise with Confidence that provides some flexibility regarding booking and deposits and refunds, etc. It doesn't apply to Alaska right now for 2021. It may in the future, but it does not right now. But one way or the other, I think it's to get into to discuss insurance in detail. I think it probably has to kind of be done offline. We'd have to really look at the particulars of any policy. Would you agree, Karen?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too broad of a topic with too many variables right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so
And we can actually provide, I think, a direct contact with the insurance provider too.
yeah. So Jeff and Linda, that is something that if you wanted to reach out to Karen and just kind of see based on where you're looking to go, what you're looking to do. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into getting you the right insurance coverage, especially around this new thing with insurance. Pandemics are definitely going to change the insurance game. So I think depending on where you're looking to go, and again, what you're looking to do, we might have to dig into that a little bit further with you guys. So yeah, feel free to call our office if you have any additional questions regarding that. And then I see another question from Leah. So are binoculars not available in the full suites anymore? She says maybe they no longer do that.
Well, I'd have to say I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to check, and I can check and communicate that back to you, Abby.
Yeah.
I have to be transparent in that I didn't know we provided them in the suites. So I'll have to find out. Very good question, though. If we used to, I would imagine we still do.
Okay. And then it looks like that is it for questions. So if you guys do have any other additional questions, feel free to get them in the chat here. If it's something a little bit more specific that you're looking for, feel free to give our office a call. But I know we're wrapping up here, and I know that a lot of you are looking for the deals. So we first wanted to thank you for tuning in and listening to this wonderful presentation today. So in addition to that, we have a few things for you that we can offer you guys. I don't know if any of you that are listening follow us on Facebook, but Karen and I did do a Facebook Live today. Every Tuesday, we do something called Travel Tuesday, and we try to find some deals, and we try to offer you guys some incentives for booking with us. So this week for our Travel Tuesday is all things Princess. So for Higgins, we are waiving all service fees through this week. So if you get your deposits in by Thursday, we are waiving our agency fees. So that's the first thing that you can get. Also, since you did tune in today, we have a special kind of incentive for being a travel agency that works so closely with Princess Cruises. We are able to offer you guys $100 deposits. So that is not something that you will be able to get on your own. We actually have to kind of go through a process to do that with our agency. So from today through November 3rd, so that gives you 2 weeks from today, you can put your deposit down for $100 per person. And I know, Karen, if you could speak to that a little bit. I know we covered it in the Facebook Live today, but is that refundable?
Yes, that would be a refundable deposit. And what's really nice with that then is you're holding the cabin, the cruise tour, the cruise, or whatever you want right away here now in October for next June for $200, and you don't even make your final payment until like late next April, early May, depending on your sailing date and everything. So you're not committing too much money right away, but still holding your spot and holding your space and holding what you'd want to do for now. And it is refundable.
And Jeff and Linda, I know you spoke to that insurance question, so that may also be kind of another option as far as insurance goes to utilize that $100 deposit. Then it's not as much money up front, and you don't have to worry about all the particulars when it comes to the insurance. And then Karen, I'll have you help me out with this one too. So Princess Cruises is now doing the upgrade away, which is through November 2nd. So it's just that Monday before. And that kind of entails, we realize that COVID may kind of impact your budget. So you might want to be traveling, but it may, just how you travel might be a little bit different for this year's trip. So what Princess Cruises is offering is if you book more of the value room, you have the opportunity to get upgraded. So
For like a two category upgrade.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Okay.
So like you book if you book the lower class ocean view cabin, for instance, you could possibly be upgraded to more of a midship ocean view cabin. It would just allow you to have that nicer location, The
Yeah.
cabin itself would be the same, but it's all based on location and whether it's in the front or the back of the boat or the midship or whatever. It would be a
Yeah.
2 category type thing upgrade.
Right. And so, of course, that's not guaranteed, but if you book using that upgrade away, it does come with some other incentives. So maybe you don't get upgraded to those other rooms, but it is going to include your Wi-Fi for one guest, which is super important. I mean, you've seen the pictures in this presentation. You're going to want to show people where you are. It looks incredible. It comes with a premier beverage package, which is, I mean, awesome. Whether I think Karen touched on this. Again, we touched on this in our live a little bit more in depth, but it's going to include your beverage package, and then it's going to include your gratuities. And I think Karen said earlier, depending on kind of what room you have and excursions and things like that, that can be up to $150, I believe.
Well,
So,
the prepaid gratuities are for on board the cruise ship itself, on the cruise itself.
okay.
So you still would have gratuities for any shore excursions that you would do for tipping that way. Or if you did the cruise tour for your land, tipping that way is all going to be extra. But
Okay.
the base of the 7-day cruise itself, the prepaid gratuities would include everything for your dining staff, your cabin steward, all of that was already included.
Okay.
And it is a good value, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying.
Okay.
It looks Jeff and Linda, are the promos only available for 2021 or are they good for 2022 also? So the $100 deposit, I believe, and the waive service fee are on any new booking. And I believe the upgrade away is for any new booking. We can definitely look into if that puts any, I guess, what am I trying to say? I don't think there's any limitations on when you can travel. It just has to be a new booking. So I believe that would include the 2022 sailings as well.
Yeah, I'd have to double check that for sure. I don't know right offhand if the 22s include, I think so, but I would have to look at it for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, for ours, with waiving the booking fee, that's going to be on any new booking that you have this week. So it's not going to matter when you book your trip with Princess. That'll be waived for us. So
Your intuition's correct. The upgrade away sale is good for any sailing March 2021 and beyond. So
Right.
perfect.
it's good.
Perfect.
Yeah, clear.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
So just to run through those again, we're waiving the service fees, but that's for our Travel Tuesday, so that's only through this week. And then if you want to do $100 per person deposit, you have until November 3rd. And then if you want to utilize that upgrade away promo, that is through November 2nd. So those are some of the incentives just for tuning in today and being here with us. So thank you.
Thank you, Abby, Denise, Karen.
All right. So with
Thanks,
that, with that, everybody. Okay, we do have one more question here. Leah is wondering what the value of the waived service fee is. So Karen, I will let you speak to that.
The value is going to be, if you have just your regular inside or ocean view cabin type thing, it's right around $150 per person that your gratuities are, right in that ballpark.
I'm sorry, our agency fees.
Oh, our agent, that's $30 a person.
Yep. So you're looking at least $60 there, another $60 in savings. All right. Well, I'm not seeing anything else here. So just wrapping up, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to email us at infoec@higginstravel.com. Otherwise, our office hours right now are Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we can't wait to speak to you guys about Alaska. And I did record this, so anybody that wasn't able to make it today, or I know some of you mentioned that you had family members that want to watch this later and such, it takes a little bit to render and get saved and everything. So either tonight or tomorrow, I will make sure to get a link sent to all of you that registered.
Awesome. Thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
Joe, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Like Abby said, just let us know if you have questions.
All
Thank you.
right, guys. Thank you. Have a nice night.